Okay, so welcome back. In this topic, we look at network maintenance. So stable running of a network ensures smooth implementation of user services and depends on routine maintenance and fault rectification. So routine network maintenance is a preventive measure based on plans, while fault rectification is triggered by events. So this module will describe the methods, regulations, and skills of routine maintenance. By the end of this chapter, you should be able to, John, please.
Be familiar with routine maintenance tasks.
Mhm.
Use network management software to maintain networks. Master methods of upgrading device software. And be familiar with the format of routine maintenance reports.
Thank you very much. Okay, so let's begin with an overview of routine maintenance. Now, routine maintenance still falls under PDI or I, plan, design, implement, operate, and improve. So routine maintenance really falls under operation stage. So tasks during network operation include routine maintenance and fault rectification. Now, routine maintenance is performed regularly, and normally it is planned in advance. The purpose of routine maintenance is to prevent problems and decrease the frequency of faults in your network. And so you want to prevent problems from occurring in your network. That's why you do routine maintenance. On the other hand, fault rectification is driven by events. That is, when a fault occurs in your network. And normally, it provides reference for routine maintenance. So the purpose of fault rectification really is to find the cause of a fault. So what has caused this fault? Then it will also provide reference for routine maintenance. Now, sometimes this particular phase, the operation phase or the maintenance phase, is also referred to as the O&M phase, or the operation and maintenance phase. So if you hear O&M, again, it happens at this particular stage. So let's begin with routine maintenance and understand a few things about it. So routine maintenance is a preventive measure. So you want to prevent problems from occurring in a network. So normally it is conducted regularly when a network is running normally to discover and eliminate defects or faults of network devices. So it ensures the long-term, secure, stable, and reliable network running. So routine maintenance helps to obtain the network baseline, making it easier to troubleshoot network faults. So when you talk of network baselines, we mean things like the normal network parameters or working conditions, such as, for example, the temperature of the room, the humidity, the cleanliness of the room. So some of the things like that, performance of the devices, security, and so on and so forth. So the purpose, to make it easier to troubleshoot network faults. So that's why we do routine maintenance. Now, while routine maintenance really routine maintenance does not require high operator skills. It does not require high operator skills. That means the IT personnel who is tasked with routine maintenance and monitoring of the network does not require very high skills, but it requires high requirements on the standardization of the maintenance operation. So you need to clearly document how the routine maintenance is done and the steps that are done, what is checked, and so on and so forth. So routine maintenance, contents and methods. So you can do on-site observing or remote operation. When we talk of on-site observing, here you want to check the hardware running environment. You want to check the hardware running environment. So you simply visit the equipment room, you measure the temperatures, you check for the humidity, you check the power cables, you check whether the physical modules of the devices are working, like the fans. You check whether the room is clean, whether we have dust or any other thing. And sometimes you'll need some professional tools in order to observe or measure some of these parameters that I've just mentioned. Other than on-site observing, you can also do remote operation. This is when you are checking the software running status. So you can, for example, telnet into a device and use commands such as display current configuration in order to check whether the configs are as per what was there initially. So these are some of the two ways in which you can perform routine maintenance, either on site or off site remotely. Now we have a very comprehensive routine maintenance checklist. So we are going, I think, to look into some of the fields, but generally you need to make a checklist, whether you're doing on site or off site. You need to do a checklist so that you can know what you're really going to observe and be able to come up with a documentation. So for example, you can have a checklist for checking the interface information, for device information, for device operating environment, for device running status, for checking services such as protocols and so on and so forth. So you see some of the fields we're having, for example, the check item, the check method, the evaluation criteria, the results, and any other remarks that you're doing. So for example, here we're checking the services. And for example, here we are checking multicast packet statistics by using the command display IGMP snooping statistics VLAN. So you'll be able to come up with what you've really been able to observe. For example, the number of IGP packets and PIM hello packets received and sent by a VLAN is correct, and the number of layer 2 events in all the VLANs is correct. So those are some of the things that you can really report on. So let's move on. Look at the template for checking the operation environment. So here we focus on things like temperature, humidity, and cleanliness. So if you discover any problem, you record it and report it to the related personnel. So if the problem is difficult, you need to seek help from technical support personnel. You're advised to check the device operating environment every day. So that's why we said that for routine maintenance, you don't need a highly skilled person. So this is a template for checking the operating environment. So for example, here you're checking the ambient temperature in the equipment room. So we are observing and also using a thermometer as the measuring equipment. So you can observe by feeling the temperature. As you're walking into the server room, you can be able to feel. And therefore you report. For example, the operating temperature range for the room was between 0 to 45 degrees, and that for the short term running is that. So the operating temperature requirements of different devices may differ. So for details, you need to see the product documentation on each specific product model. So here you might enter the results and the remarks that are needed. So you can download this particular, you can be able to download this from Huawei's website. Cleanliness condition, you can observe. So in cleanliness, most of the time we're looking for dust. So the air filter is cleaned and replaced in time to prevent dust on cabinet doors or fan assembly from affecting heat dissipation. So always make sure that you also check on dusts and other things like humidity. Basic device information. So with basic device information, we want to really focus on, for example, the version, the startup information, the license, and the storage space. So if you discover any problem, you need to record it and report it to the related personnel. You're advised to do this at least weekly or monthly. So for example, you can run the display version command just to confirm the version of the software that you're running. Is it correct? And so on and so forth. So other things you can check here, for example, is the license information, which is very important. So checking license information, patch information by using the command display patch information, and so on and so forth. Then the running status, for example, is the card running well? So here is the power supply running well. Here we focus on alarms that will check on cards, power supply, fans, temperature, CPU, and memory. So for example, you can run the command display temperature to be able to see the device temperature. So again, if you discover any problem, you need to record and report it to the related personnel. If the hardware is faulty, you need to contact the provider for technical support. So this is also supposed to be done weekly or monthly. So you see, for example, for a card, when you do display device command, you should be able to check whether it's online, for example, whether the power is displayed as power on, whether the alarm field is displayed as normal, and so on and so forth. So you'll be able to interpret that by doing that. Checking interface information. So for a particular interface, we want to check whether we have excess error packets, whether the duplex mode is what we expect, and the traffic statistics that we are getting. So other things you can check off on an interface, for example, is PoE, is if the port power is on or off. So the power status field of the interface is displayed as delivering power. So is that port delivering power? And you can use the other commands to check, for example, any errors that are there. Again, you're supposed to do this weekly or monthly. And you can also do this for services. So when you talk of services, really, Most of the time we're talking of the functioning of protocols that are related to running the services, such as multicast protocols, OSPF, BGP, etc. So for example, you can do display MAC address in order to see the MAC address table information and verify whether it is correct. And many other display commands that can be used to see whether these particular protocols are working correctly. I'm sure we've seen most of this. Again, this should be done weekly or monthly. So the other important part of network maintenance is backing up the software and the configuration. As we are all aware, purpose of backup is so that we can be able to recover the network in certain situations that may cause the network to fail, like hardware failure, or when the device is replaced with another device. So those are some of the scenarios. Now, generally, you are advised to back up your software and configurations every week. Now, normally, we set up a backup server, either using FTP or TFTP. And these are some of the very important files that you need to back up regularly. Now, let me comment more about the license file. Now, the license file is normally set up for a specific product. Now, what you need to be aware of is that if this file is lost, you have to apply for another one from the manufacturer. And this might take time. This might take a long time. Yet your device cannot run without the license file. So really, if you want to be able to restore the running of your device as quickly as possible, then you need to back up this file so that you can restore it in case you encounter problems, for example, with your device. So always make sure that you back up your license file as well as configuration files and software files. So let's look at the use method of network management software, something we've looked at before. So the thing is here, routine maintenance. Routine maintenance involves many repeated and simple tasks. So a network management software can be used to improve the network maintenance efficiency. So normally we implement an NMS. For example, we can implement the Huawei eSite. So most of those things that we've looked at, for example, monitoring the device status, the interface status, can be automated, are actually automated by the network management system. So it's able to manage alarms, performance management. We're able to see how the interfaces are performing in terms of the traffic, how the CPU is performing in terms of the percentage of CPU that is in use. We're able to also do configuration file management and network management reports. So generally, if you want to simplify your network maintenance and improve the efficiency of network maintenance, then you need to implement a network management system. So again, this we are saying, again, some of the functions of eSite, for example, alarm management. For example, if this goes down, then you're able to get an alert immediately, link down, and you're able to work on it as soon as possible. Performance management is the other functionality of eSight. So when certain devices, for example, if the memory goes beyond a certain threshold, you can set so that you either get an alarm or it shows a different color and so on and so forth. Then you can go further and investigate. You also get network management reports or both historical. You can also go get historical reports like the last 1 month, blah, blah, blah. So for example, this is a network connection report. So you can be able to get those comparisons, and you're also able to do configuration, file management. So for example, doing backup. So you can back up a file just by clicking. You can back up a file from any of your devices, whether it's a software file, configuration file, or even the license files. So really, eSight and any other NMS for that matter assists you in simplifying network maintenance. So let's look at the next bit here, which is device software upgrade. So why might you need to upgrade your software? Now, sometimes you want to upgrade your software because new functions have been developed or the usability has been improved. You can also upgrade your software if it fixes most of the problems with the previous software. So it's more stable and will not encounter problems frequently like the previous one. Now, other times you might be forced to upgrade your software because you've installed a new hardware module which is not supported by the previous software. So really, you have to install the new software version for that hardware module to work. So really, these are some of the reasons. And the other reason, of course, is that no software is 100%. All software will have bugs. And most of the time, new versions will actually identify and fix those particular bugs. So these are some of the reasons why you might need to do a software upgrade. Now, in preparing for a software upgrade, you need to evaluate the feasibility. So is it possible in terms of, for example, is your hardware able to support the new software? Because each software will have some requirements, hardware requirement that is. So evaluate feasibility, how possible is it? And then obtain the software files and documents, then make upgrade and also rollback plans. So after you've been able to do that, then you can upgrade the software. So you need to prepare well before you perform a software upgrade. Now let's look at this, evaluating feasibility of software upgrade. So in feasibility, we want to first of all check the necessity evaluation. We have already talked of some of the reasons why we might need to upgrade. So you need to check, is it necessary? Why are we doing this? Then evaluate the risks. Then evaluate the feasibility. For example, can services be interrupted? Are we allowed to interrupt the service? Do we have a person who can be able to do this? Do we have technical support from the vendor, for example? So if all this are okay, then you can say, for example, that the upgrade is feasible. So that's how you check feasibility. Then you need to obtain the software files and upgrade guides. So if you go to the Huawei website, under support downloads, you can be able to search a particular product and be able to download any software that you want. So really you can obtain software of latest version from the official website of network equipment manufacturer. So for example, from Huawei website. So there's nothing you can download, whether it's a patch, whether it's a VRP, latest version, anything. You can be able to download not just the software, but also the relevant documents that are guiding you on how to perform that particular upgrade. So an upgrade plan includes, so when, the time, and the operation window, how long, when, how long, so that you can be able to determine the service interruption duration. The other thing is the tools that are needed. So what tools do we need? Then operating personnel and technical support, so the who. Then the verification method. So we need to verify before and after the upgrade. Is it working before? Then after the upgrade, is it working normally? Then we also need to have a rollback plan, which includes what might trigger a rollback. Then the process, how do we roll back? And after rollback, again, we need to do verification. Then emergency measures in case the upgrade cannot be rolled back. So for example, here we can have another working equipment that is being used as a what can I call it? That is just staying there in case we are unable to do rollback or we are unable to do the upgrade, then we can swap with this one that is working correctly. So we might need to have that as an emergency measure, for example. Okay, so routine maintenance report. So you need to do a summary on the routine maintenance. For example, key event description and the suggestions on improvement. The NMS report, for example, the key running indicators, the data statistics and analysis, etc., etc. Professional inspection report. Sometimes you might call, you might have to check the network running status, network running, vulnerability diagnosis, professional suggestions. So you might call a consultant to come and evaluate your network and suggest improvements. So that might happen. And you might have attachments, for example, the upgrade report, troubleshooting report, etc. So the whole of that really forms the routine network maintenance report. So we have a quiz here, which again, I'm going to give you some time to have a look into. Then if anyone has a question, you can ask me as we begin the next topic. Thank you very much.